My name is CJ, I use he, they pronouns, and you're listening to Smothered, Mommy Issues turned into a podcast. Most of the episodes, if not all, will deal with child abuse, so proceed with caution. Lacey Spears showed motherly instincts from a young age, caring for her dolls as if they were real kids, and as she grew up, she jumped on every opportunity to take care of kids in her neighborhood. But what she really wanted was her own child, and in 2008 her dream came true. She fell pregnant with her soulmate Blake. Their happiness was short-lived though, as he died in a car accident before ever meeting his child. And so, on December 3rd, Lacey became a single mom to a healthy boy named Garnet. Despite no complications during pregnancy or birth, just 2 days later, Garnet and his mom were back in the hospital with an ear infection. And from then on, everything went downhill. Fast. At only 2.5 months old, Garnet was life-flighted to a hospital so malnourished and dehydrated his little body went into shock. His blood showed high levels of sodium, but none of the tests performed by the staff could find its source. His mother reported eating problems her son was showing, including projectile vomiting. Following that, doctors performed Nissen's fundoplication on the couple-months-old infant. It's a surgical procedure that tightens the muscle at the bottom of an esophagus, essentially preventing the patient from vomiting at all. Despite now being forced to hold down his food, Garnet still had trouble getting all the nutrition he needed, and so, under nagging from the desperate mother, one surgeon agreed to install a feeding tube directly into the now 9-month-old stomach. In November 2009, Lacey tweeted that her sweet angel was in hospital for the 23rd time. He hadn't even had his first birthday yet, but he's been a frequent patient for ear infections, seizures, and digestive problems. The doctors couldn't figure out the source of them, so his mother diligently took him from one medical facility to another, checking into about 20 different hospitals in 5 years. Garnet's health problems started from the moment he was born, and so did his online presence. On top of friends and family, countless strangers followed and sympathized with his story. Pictures of Garnet, mostly at the hospitals, adorned Lacey's blogs and social media. Crowdfunds were launched to fund the boy's treatments in hope that someone, someday, will find the source of his pain. That happened, but way too late. In 2012, Lacey moved to New York's tight-knit community called The Fellowship. She hoped that their sustainable and holistic living will make a good impact on Garnet. They lived off the land, Garnet attended the neighbor school, and Lacey assisted the elderly residents as rent payment. Not much has changed in Garnet's health though, and in January 2014, Lacey's friend got a chilling call that the boy was having another seizure and they needed a lift to the hospital. She arrived as quickly as possible to find the boy shaking, looking as if he wanted to throw up but couldn't, and she rushed them to the hospital. There, they found out his sodium levels were at 140. The doctors managed to stabilize him, but this didn't last long. At the hospital, he started to squirm in pain again, and when his sodium was checked then, it has raised to 182, way over the dangerous limits. That's the point when the brain begins to swell. Garnet was put on life support, but subsequently, 24 hours later, on January 23rd, he passed away. When Lacey was taking hundreds of pictures of her son's body to update her blog and social media, as one does, the staff was trying to figure out what the hell happened to Garnet. How did he go from stable enough to go home to brain dead as if somebody flipped a switch? What was this mysterious illness that made him go from one professional to another for the whole 5 years of his life? In search of the answer, they went to check the boy's last moments, captured on the surveillance camera installed in his room. What they found was disturbing, but not that surprising. You can find this heartbreaking footage on the internet. Garnet is a picture of health, playing with toys and laughing with his mom on the hospital bed. They leave for the bathroom, where they are off camera, and as soon after they come back, Garnet is thrashing on the bed in pain. His head hurts and he's retching, but he can't vomit. The hospital reported Lacey to the police immediately. This is part 2 of the Lacey Spears episode, where we get a better look at Lacey's past. People around Lacey have been having suspicions for some time now. That included her friend Una. When she arrived to the house to give them a lift, a few details didn't sit right with her. First of all, despite the apparent emergency, Lacey was calmly packing Garnet's hospital bag. She didn't seem to be in any hurry. Waiting for her, Una noticed the bag attached to the boy's feeding tube, filled with a cloudy white substance. She took note of it, but didn't question it. That is until Lacey texted her to get rid of the bag. Of course, that was around Garnet's death. That deepened her suspicion, and so she handed the bag to the police. and that evidence turned out to be crucial. The bag filled with highly concentrated salt mixture was how Lacey has been poisoning her son for years. This is why she didn't want his feeding tube removed despite the doctor's insistence. It gave her a direct way into his stomach. Disagreeing with medical expert was the main reason why she changed them so frequently. If they refused to perform an unnecessary procedure, she searched until she found somebody who would. If they caught wind of the mysterious illness plaguing Garnet, she'd move to another hospital. And a lot of people had their suspicions, as I've mentioned before. If Garnet's medical history had been shared between facilities, the story might have turned out differently. This is a common theme in the Munchausen by proxy cases. The caregiver moves a lot and changes doctor frequently. The most dangerous moment is when they are in danger of exposure by medical staff or the child themselves. And with Garnet growing up, being more vocal and attending school, it might have been a huge factor. Before his death, Lacey was even trying to fall pregnant again, to make herself a new victim perhaps, one that couldn't talk. For those unfamiliar with the term, Munchausen by proxy is a condition where a caregiver harms the person under their care for attention. It's usually a kid or a patient. There's also a term perfectly fitting this case, Munchausen by internet. It refers to the increase in reported cases along with the growth of social media. It gives parents an audience and an easy way to lie about their kid's condition. Now, let's look into some of the red flags in Lacey's past. Pathological lying was a natural thing for Lacey. From claiming anorexia while still in school, being pregnant and getting an abortion, to accusing her father of sexual assault, which shows that she didn't care who she hurt in the process. But my favorite must be the one about Garnet's dad. Remember how she said that Blake died in a car accident? That he was her soulmate? She even made posts about going to his grave for the anniversary of his death. Well, Blake was very much alive. Yes, he was a police officer, but he wasn't Garnet's father. They dated briefly but never got intimate. After that, she got into a neighbors with benefits relationship with Chris Hill, who was the real father. That's still not all though. I found this in only source, but I hope it's true because it is hilarious. Allegedly, Lacey told her son that Blake reincarnated as an owl. The kid of course believed it, and Lacey filled their home with all them trinkets. And I am a fan of themed everything, but that's a stretch. But we haven't touched on the most alarming part of the past yet, which was the biggest red flag in the story, and I don't understand how no actions were taken. Before she had her own child, Lacey picked up babysitting. She offered her services around the neighborhood, even for free. The kids would come back with mysterious ear infections that would never occur under their parents' care. Lacey would extend her babysitting too, sometimes giving the kids back a day later than she was supposed to. But the most alarming thing yet was when she started posting pictures of other people's kids on her MySpace, claiming they were her own. Not only that, but she would lie about it in person. It came to the point when one of the mothers was approached by Lacey's friend and asked if she was babysitting for Lacey. Imagine having to explain your route with your own child. The word spread among the local community and they decided they had enough of Lacey's babysitting services. Cut off from the source of attention, Lacey decided to make some babies of her own. Which is a great reason to have kids, being banned from babysitting because you were toxic and problematic. She finally found her sperm donor, Chris Hill, and you know the rest. What is really sad though was that Chris really wanted to be a father, wanted to create a family with Lacey and with Garnet, but she just told him, it's not her child. Blake is the father. She was going around telling that Blake's dead and, the dramatic story that would look good and gain sympathy. And she only accepted Chris's Facebook request after Garnet's death, saying that she needs him now, she's in a lot of pain. Yeah, bullshit. On March 2nd, 2015, Lacey was convicted of second-degree murder, meaning it wasn't premeditated, but rather caused by indifference to human life. She was sentenced to 20 years to life in prison, and the rumors have it that other prisoners oversold her food. Lacey, of course, to this day claims her innocence. Thank you for listening to the first episode of Smothered. Tell your friends I have a podcast, tell your mom about me, and if you want to learn more about this case, I highly recommend Daniel Christie's video on YouTube. And Yo Mama joke of the day is, Yo Mama's so salty, Lot's wife is jealous.